Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. So I'm so sorry, it's been a minute since my last video. Lots been going on and kind of busy taking care of the house, taking care of myself, taking care of all kinds of other things. I've been pretty active on TikTok again, kind of, starting to get back into the swing of things. So if you're not following me over there yet, go and make sure you do that. Same username as this one. But today I want to talk about how to manifest marriage. And yes, that also includes celebrity SPs, famous SPs, doesn't really matter. Famous is, different to everybody, but the principle is basically the same. So I figured I'll just make it into one video. And if you are new here, I manifested my SP that I ended up marrying. Now, I did end up getting a divorce, but that was really like my choice. It wasn't that I couldn't have manifested better or couldn't have manifested change. But if you are not new here, I always say just because you can manifest something doesn't mean you have to or you should want to. And for me, at that point in time, it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. That just comes from, losing feelings. And again, that was okay for me at the time. It's still okay for me today. I've moved on from that. But at the time, I already kind of had an inkling about how the law of assumption works, and I was kind of intuitively using it. But I was still more in the law of attraction side of things. So what I actually ended up doing is I used the list method. This was back in 2018. So this was a little while ago. And what I basically did is I also made a vision board of what I wanted my person to look like. And fun fact, I actually used my celebrity crush at the time to be like, this is the kind of aesthetic I want. This is what I want my person to look like. And then I made a list of all the attributes that I wanted this person to have. Now, at the time, and I wasn't even aware that I was actually affirming, I wrote this little poem, I guess, and I just put it on one of my candles that I had. It was just a normal random candle. And I lit it, and every time I lit the candle, which I did for maybe 20 minutes a day or so, I worded out loud, I read that poem back to me, and I just said it out loud a couple times, and then I just let it go and went about the rest of my day. I was kind of thinking about, how would I be? How would I change myself if I were a wife? I'm so sorry. My cat is in cat jail right now. He's been very bad today. He's in heat and losing his mind. Sorry, I had to let him out. He wouldn't stop. But I didn't really, make my whole life about it. I did little things like, what kind of dishes would I make? Or how would I change how my house looks? How would I change, would I dress differently? Would I have a different work schedule? Where would my mindset be? I was really already embodying it and living in the end without realizing that I was living in the end. And when it comes to manifesting marriage, I think a lot of people, or I do see a lot of people that actually want to manifest the wedding more so than the marriage and don't really think about what marriage looks like to them. What would change in your life, in your everyday life, if you were married to your specific person? And I think it's a really good idea to just sit down and kind of have a think about it and really sit with yourself and make sure that you are really thinking this through, because if you do the work beforehand, before you end up manifesting them, it saves you a lot of time down the road to have to then, manifest change as it goes, which you're always going to have to do. It's an ongoing process. You're never going to be done with manifesting. But if you are, kind of living in this fairy tale land of I'm manifesting all the great things about marriage, but then everyday life kind of seeps in and there's things that you maybe don't agree on or things that they do differently that annoys you on an everyday basis, that can really, really quickly lead to, frustration, even maybe the demise, or you having to do so much work that you're just burning yourself out at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to celebrity SPs, it's hard for me to kind of, explain it from a standpoint of oh, this is a celebrity SP, because I've said this before. I grew up around celebrities my whole life. They're no different than your random Joe Schmo walking down the street. They are just people. They cook with the same water. Think about them. They go to the bathroom like you do. They cook the way you do. Most of them do anyway. Some have help, but realistically, most of them weren't born into fame. Most of them had to achieve fame in one way or another, which means at some point in their life, they were just like you, very normal, had to do everything themselves, might have even been worse off than you, struggled in, all kinds of ways. Maybe were homeless, maybe didn't have money, didn't have success for a long period of time. Maybe people didn't like them. They were bullied, whatever the case may be. It really doesn't matter. You have to humanize them and bring them down to a level where you realize that they're just normal people who just happen to have a following or happen to have a career in a certain area that we, as a society are brainwashed to worship. Like, this is probably one of the worst things you can do for yourself in general, even if you don't want to manifest somebody. Stop worshiping celebrities. Like, they're not worth your, let me put it this way. If you wouldn't worship them and wouldn't give them your time, your energy, your money, your views, all of that, they would be nothing. They would not be famous without other people pining over them. And remember, that is also a manifestation. You can manifest fame for yourself. You can manifest yourself more famous than the person that you're trying to manifest. Okay? So let's put that out there. And also, I have a huge video about how to manifest celebrity SPs, but I think one of the most important things is realizing that they are just people. You actually don't know them. Yes, you can fill their personality with assumptions that you have, but at the end of the day, they're still people like everybody else. They're going to come with their own quirks. They're going to come with their personality. And even if you know a lot about them and you're like, a huge stan, doesn't mean that you actually know them in real life. I promise you, nobody is 100% like the same in real life than they are on the internet or, in their career. Like, it really doesn't matter. They show you what they want you to see, not necessarily how they really truly are in real life. So I find it really important to kind of bring yourself down to that like conscious level and be like, okay, they're a person. They are going to come with flaws. They are going to come with issues. We are going to have normal couple problems. You can think about how your life would change if you were to be in their life, because realistically, if you're with a celebrity SP, it comes with, maybe fans and like paparazzi or whatever the case may be, fame, people judging you, people criticizing you. Like, are you ready for that? Because that is going to come like inevitably, because that's just how we as a society are brainwashed. We know that a lot of celebrities, when they date normal people, those normal people, like, people go after them. Those are all things you kind of need to think about and reflect on. And I also made a video on TikTok where I talked about the fact that, because someone asked me if you can manifest fictional characters, which obviously you can't do because they're not real, but you can manifest someone who is like the fictional character that you want, who makes you feel that way, who looks that way, who has traits that way. So my advice would be, always ask yourself first, especially if you have this huge barrier where you put them on a pedestal because they're so famous and this, that, and the other. Is there any way that you could maybe even take a step back and say, hey, maybe I can just manifest some random normal person, but they have everything that my celebrity SP has, or they look exactly like them, their personality is exactly like them. Now, you obviously can have whatever you want. I'm just trying to give you ways to maybe break through that barrier first, to kind of realize, okay, you can really have whoever you want, but it's not about the person. Like, it's not about our status in general. It's about the person and the way you think they will make you feel and what they can give you on that level, because everything else, okay, let me put it this way. Everything else about them that is surrounding you and your relationship with them can be manifested. Can you manifest feelings? Sure, you can choose to love somebody, but I don't think, like, this is just my personal opinion, I don't really see a reason to do that. Feelings are what determine what you want and what you don't want and what you're dedicated to. So at the end of the day, the feeling is what you're chasing and what you're wanting, and you can have that with multiple people. That's why people have several soulmates in their lifetime and all of that. So I would recommend really trying to figure out, like, what is it that I want about them, and then you can start small. Start by them following you, them liking your posts, them seeing your stories, something like that. Like, I mean, I have success stories where I literally manifested celebrities, right? Bands, for example, like commenting on my shit, reposting my stuff, messaging me, like, all those kind of stuff. Like, I personally don't want to like pursue a romantic relationship with them, but I've done it and it's really easy. And like I said, once you realize and interact with them, you realize they're just people just like everybody else. So I would start small, either with a normal person who embodies them or with smaller steps, and then you can go about it one step at a time. And I would recommend that, because that way you get to know them, you figure out who they are and if this is really what you want, and then go into friendship, like talking every day. Then you start dating them, and then you go into marriage. Like, again, you have a marriage with them just like you would have marriage with a normal person. Make a list, figure out what you want, and then ignore everything else. Stop stalking them. If they were your actual partner, you wouldn't do that. Stick to your end story no matter what, and I promise you, like, they will be just as easy as everybody else. That would be a great affirmation. My celebrity SP is just as easy to manifest as everybody else. So with this, I will send you off for the rest of the day. If you have any more questions, leave a comment. Otherwise, if you haven't, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.